What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Purpose Journey podcast. Very historic day. Today is the very first episode we are recording in history. So hopefully plenty more episodes after that. But I'm extremely excited. And who better yet than my good friend Matt Drew, special guest. Today on today's podcast, we're going to be going over Matt's journey to where he started, where he is now in his business, in his music career. We're going to be covering AI. We're also going to be covering relationships in business, relationships in entrepreneurship, and kind of like the journey going from a career, a job that you've been at, and taking that leap and going into, let's say, chasing a dream, a business, things like that. But without further ado, Matt, what's up, brother? Welcome
What's
to
up,
the
man?
show.
How you doing?
Doing
glad
great, bro.
to
Doing
be
great.
here. I'm glad to be the first episode.
Yes, sir.
It kind of started with us too, right? So
Yeah.
with music and all that. So it's kind of cool to be a part of something that, you know, I get to see now you do and hopefully do some great stuff out of this.
Yeah, bro. It's pretty funny. A lot of people don't know. Some people might, but like when I was planning this whole thing, and it just kind of happened to where you were the first interview. Mm-hmm. But I think it's kind of ironic because like a lot of people don't know, me and you, we both transferred to the same high school like at the same year, right?
Yeah. Sophomore year.
Yeah, sophomore year. And like, I don't know, like for a lot of people out there, me personally, like when I went to that new school, and I'm sure a lot of people could resonate with this, whether it's like going to a new college or starting a new job, I just felt like an outsider. Mm-hmm. So like meeting you there and like us connecting, like that was really cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like a lot of people, like not knowing anybody and then like finding that friend and like getting into that friend group was like crucial for me.
And then we had the same class too, so it was like how ironic.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
It was that English class or whatever.
Yeah, I know. Me and him used to we would like jam out in school, like literally like
all the time.
All the teachers listening to this right now, you're probably gonna be upset, but every class, it was funny. Like sophomore year, we met each other. Junior year, senior year, we've had a class each year, and we would like jam. Like we both connect. We both had that love for music, so we would literally like just be in class, like okay. Boom, put in like one earphone. We had the string. There wasn't even like Bluetooth headphones at that time. It was like string, ear, like wire.
Just
we're like, okay, cool. Hey, what's this new song? And we're like jamming out.
I don't even know what we were jamming at the time.
We were like just trying to discover.
Just on some new stuff, right?
We're just discovering new stuff, bro.
It was like DY and then futuristic.
There was like Kyle, like dude, I think we heard like I remember hearing like Future for the first time. We were like, whoa.
Even Young Thug.
Oh, dude, it was best friends.
Yeah,
like
I was like, I didn't like Young Thug. Remember,
dude?
I didn't like none of that.
At
music.
that time, everyone was like, "What is this?"
I'm like, man, this stuff is trash. And you're like, it's kind of cool, bro. Just listen to it. And then eventually it got to me. I was like, oh man,
they're all blown up.
Yeah, it's a different style of music. But
I'm really excited about this interview. Mm-hmm. Matt is the type of guy that's like, we've been best friends, like, as you can hear, like since high school,
2013. So,
but you've always been someone that I can always like call on, like whenever life hits and you just need somebody to talk to. I've been blessed that I've had you in my life of like, hey, bro, I know I could count on you to like hear me out or hear your perspective. Very wise man, has a lot of great takes on things, has a lot of wisdom. So I think we can help serve a lot of people today with this episode. So yeah, bro, just give us a little background of like kind of where you started. Obviously, we went through like our friendship, but like more deep dive on your journey. You get me?
So I guess it all started with when we first met, which you kind of already talked about that. But I would say the first artistic or stylistic thing that we dove into, or I dove into, was music. And I always wanted to do music. I learned how to play the guitar and piano at like 7 or 8. So I've always been into music. I always liked rock music and then started getting into rap. And then it wasn't until junior year that I don't even know why we even started doing music. I think someone else was doing music. And we're like, bro, I think we could do a better job than this guy. Like, we should just try it, We should see what happens. And then we ended up getting a rock band mic.
Yeah, I was literally thinking about that last night when I was prepping for this. I was like, dude, I need to tell everybody about the rock band mic.
Oh man, it was the rock band mic.
That just goes to show you, like, if you want to do something, just do it. Like, you could like start literally with like a rock band mic and get going.
I feel like it is harder today because there is more pressure of having like the nicer equipment, the nicer gear, looking nice and everything. I feel like back then, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but back then there wasn't that much pressure. It's like you make music. I mean, you could post it and no one's gonna see it. No one cares that much about the vanity of stuff. So, but yeah, we started at your crib with the Rock Band mic, in the closet.
Yeah, that's your recording.
We were legit in the closet. So,
little closet studio.
As cliche as it gets. We're doing that. So we did that. I dropped a few albums. Detention, right, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was the first album.
Fast forward, I think you kind of just got busy into other stuff. You started doing all these other things. One thing about Leo is that he gets into something and then he wants to dive into another thing. And I think he just wants to explore. I think you want to explore like a lot of different things, which is good, because you get to dip your feet in different stuff, and eventually one's going to really click and one's going to skyrocket. But the more opportunities you have to put yourself in different stuff, like the more outcomes you can have, So
of course.
I think that was one thing I noticed. And I just ended up sticking with music. I went to this crew, the Messiah crew. And they were a collective making music also. So I was with them for a couple years after high school. And even to this day, I'm still doing music, but at the moment, I was kind of going through rough patches with music. Wasn't really taking it serious. Like I had always been one to just make songs and just let it feel and just wait. And then there was a moment where it kind of switched up for me, so I wanted to make more. I wanted to be a little more consistent. And then sometime around 2 years ago, I want to say, like 2 years ago, I bought a camera, small camera, it's a little Sony A64. And I wanted to film my workouts. And that's how it started at first. And then started doing a little bit of vlogs. But I didn't really do anything with the camera. It wasn't until I actually met my girlfriend, Sam. And I wanted to take pictures of her. So that's literally how it started. Like I remember I was like, I just want to take pics. Like, let's go, let me take pics of you. And then YouTube, the algorithm started hitting me with all these best lens to use for photography, portrait lens and all this. So obviously I'm going to click it, right? I'm interested. Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, let's see what there is. Well, fast forward a couple months, I end up buying like a new lens, something, more for portraits and stuff. So that's kind of like where it started with the whole photography and videography is through that one thing that happened. I strictly remembered it. Fast forward a couple months, I started thinking maybe I could make some money off of it. So I do a couple free photo shoots, and then I think by 2021 of December, I had my first client. It was in Christmas, I remember. It was a Christmas client. So they wanted me to go to their house, take some photos with them on Christmas Day. And that was the first client that I was like, okay, I made money. Let's see what's up. So it was slow in the beginning. I wouldn't say I got like a lot of clients. It's never a fast thing for videography and photography, especially here. There's a lot of photographers, so it's kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard to just instantly get clients, especially when I've never stepped into this realm. I've always been an artist, rapper, pop artist, whatever. So I've always been in that realm. But I've always been interested in the camera, and that's what made me pick it up in the first place, was because I've always been around the scenes of people using cameras, and I've always asked questions. That's one thing that even when I was just an artist, I would always ask, what are you doing here? Why are you doing that? What are you doing to the lighting? Well, let me see how you're editing it. So like I started picking up little things until I finally kind of got like a general grasp of it. And then of course YouTube helps so much. Like
learning from
there. YouTube is crazy. Like you can learn so many things. People don't understand the complexity that YouTube can offer. Like it's an algorithm. So if you're watching a bunch of pointless content, then it's really gonna show, and it's not gonna help you. But if you dial it in and start watching videos on how to, learning more stuff, you're gonna find yourself in a good spot with YouTube. It's gonna be a healthy ease when you're just at home watching videos versus watching just dramatic entertainment that does nothing for you. Like there's like two sides of it, and you can use it for good. It's
kind of funny. It's kind of funny how like that can also attest to, I guess, like our everyday lives, because literally like what you put out there is what you're gonna get back. Yeah. So like if you're just constantly like, kind of using how it correlates to YouTube. Like if you're looking at all this just junk or just sometimes it might be literally just like going to YouTube to see funny videos. But if
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
at that, that's all you're gonna get.
Yeah, yeah.
But like for you started looking at, oh shoot, let me get into music, and then oh cool, the cameras, and then oh how do I do this, and then now you're just getting constantly fed like goodness that's gonna help you in that next step, like with your business.
The mind is a muscle. Like, I don't want to be all preachy and stuff, but the mind is a muscle, and if you're putting it through fatty foods, it's not gonna do good. Versus putting the right nutrients in your body, you're gonna grow the mind. So it's definitely important what you consume. But to the story, and that's how I ended up picking up a camera. And a couple months later, I want to say it was last year in March, I did a podcast for a guy named Aaron Alanis, and he was doing a podcast for men's betterment and bettering men, and he had a person on there named Stev. He's an artist. He was Carlos's brother. Okay. So Stev is an artist. He was a part of a Mayberry band, and his younger brother by like 2 years, also does music. So he was there in the room when we were doing the podcast, and after we finished the podcast, Aaron had mentioned like, oh, Matt also does music, and I had an album ready, right? So I had an album, so I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, we could play it, I hadn't touched music for almost a year at that point, so I was like, bro, like I'm not even thinking about music, but I'm like, yeah, like I'll show it to them, like I still love music. I just knew in my head like I had took a break from it because I had focused more on videography and photography. At the moment, it was photography. I hadn't really dove into videography. Yeah. But so we played them the album. They like it. They love it. They're like, "What are you still doing music?" and all these questions. And I just got this spark in me. I'm like, man, maybe I should do music again. Like why not? I kind of have no excuse. But it wasn't until I heard their music, all of their music. I'm like, oh, let me hear yours. Like, let me see who's, who else is around and what they're making. And that's when it hit me. Like I heard all their music, and I was like, I need to get back in the studio. Like I need to start making music again. And like that's where like it just sparked me. And it was because again. Like I heard people that were great, like they're great at making music, and I hadn't had that around me. Like I was just by myself for the most time. I always made music by myself. I have like 2 features besides the music we did with me and you. I have like 2 features together. So hearing them, I was like, bro, like I want to do this again.
You could do this. Like, it kind of inspired you. Like, oh, wow.
So it was a cool feeling. But that's how me and my business partner, Carlos.
That's how you guys met.
That's how we met. That's how we met.
How you and Carlos met.
Yeah, that's how we originally met. The reason we also kept in contact was because he has a labradoodle. So he has a cream labradoodle, right? Oh, yeah. I'm like, bro, it was a baby when they got her. So she was there. I was playing with her. I'm like, this is a labradoodle. Like, I love labradoodles. I want to buy one. And he's like, we actually got her real cheap. Like, really, really cheap. Like, probably 75% off of what, like, they're originally costing. They're like $2,000 or something. So dogs. I got, like, he's like, yeah, they're still selling some. I'll give you the number and you can message them. I'm like, yeah. So I messaged them, and that's how I ended up getting a girl, and her name's Zara, and she's right now with my girl. But
that's crazy.
She's so beautiful. I love her so much, and that's how we kind of also came into contact. Stayed in contact, and then kind of just went from there. We started working on music originally. It wasn't even like anything about the photography or anything. It was just, hey, let's work on music, because he was the one that made the music closest to what I made, more in the hip hop realm, rap realm. Yeah. So I just kept working on music. Ended up making a lot of music together, and then I started shooting a couple of stuff for him, just like photos. He knew I did photography and all that. I hadn't stepped into music videos yet, so we hadn't really like collabed or linked together for a project. And a couple months later, I mean, I'm at HEB. I had worked at HEB for about 7 years. I started in 2018, so that was like my first job. So I was at HEB for a long time, honestly.
Yeah, I know you were repping HEB hard.
Yeah, and like
you were there for a while.
Yeah, and HEB is a grocery store here in Texas for people that might not know, and it's a great company. I have nothing bad to say about it. Especially at a young age of 18, you make some good money there, and you can grow with the company and really do something in that realm if that's what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. There's just a point where I was contemplating, what's the next step? And I had picked up videography, I had picked up a camera. We'll just say camera from now on. Well, I picked up a camera, and obviously I wanted to do something with it. I had made money off of it, and as an artist, I had never made money. So I was like, well, this is making money already, so maybe there's an opportunity there to make something out of this. And it was within a couple of months. Honestly, it was like a span of 2 months that I started getting a few more clients, and I kind of didn't want to be at HEB. I actually wanted less time at HEB, and I had met another client that we work with now, Doku, which is a clothing brand. The owner, CEO is Mario, and he ended up getting me a job at a call center. And so I quit HEB, right? Said my goodbyes. So crazy, because like being there for 7 years, and it was my only job. I had no experience of any other like job. So I leave.
True. That was like you started there.
Yeah. So like it was such a weird transition, and I ended up going there. I was there for about a month doing the trainings, and it wasn't that it was hard. It was just not what I wanted to do at all. Like, not at all. Like, I just wasn't, I don't want to say miserable, because now I'm like blaming and putting myself in this lower standard, but I just didn't like it. I just wasn't, I would wake up, I'm like, all right, and I started getting real lazy with the photography, wasn't getting as much clients. I actually made the move or the decision to leave to try to go back to HEB. Of course, I wanted to see if I could get my job back.
That is true.
Yeah. So I wanted to get my job back at HEB. I talked to the manager. They're like, yeah, we could get you back. It was all within the month, so they could make that transition back for me. So I'm like,
you left and came back so quickly.
No. So this is the story. I went to them. They're like, yeah. Talked to the store director. They said they could get me the job back. Just give us a few days, and then we'll get back to you. Cool. I let the job know over there. They were cool with it too. They understand like where I was coming from. I did want to pursue media and all that. So I had cut my ties. I took a little risk because they said they were gonna help me out. So in that like week span, maybe I finished the week off, and I was waiting for them to call. Well, it turns out that they couldn't get me a job back in there. Like the next week, the next week I call them. They're like, man, I'm so sorry, but we just can't hire you right now. Like you have to wait until an opportunity opens up. We just can't do it. And it's crazy because all within that week, I kid you not, like I was already talking to Carlos a little more. He knew my whole situation, and he had mentioned the name Astra. He had mentioned that before. He's like, I want to do something with this. I just don't know what. I know I've had this in my mind for years. I just don't know what I want to do. Whether it's a clothing brand, something. He knew he liked that name. So he had actually brought up the idea. He's like, what would you consider maybe opening a company together, a media company, and you do what you do, and I get you the clients, and we split. We do a split, a fair split. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it made sense, and it still makes sense. It's definitely was hard and a leap to like want to like include myself with someone else, because I had said before, I had always been by myself. So for me to include someone else in my business like adventures, I was like kind of tempted to not do it, but it sounded good. We had talked about everything. We talked about the small choices, the small details, and it made sense to me, so we started it. And all within that week, I ended up going from one job to not a job to just saying, hey, I have some money saved up. Let me try for a month or two. If they open up a position in HEB, I could always go back. I could always go back and then just do part-time, and then I have more time for the media business.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even end up going back. Like, it got to the point where, not saying we got clients right away or very fast, but the system that we built, it just made sense for success. Like it really, I really didn't see it failing. So we took that risk, and we ended up getting, I think, 2 or 3 clients within the first two months or something. So at that point, I was like, okay, let's see if I can make this last a little longer. And then at the point where I feel like I don't have money, or I would need to get my money back or something, I'll go get a job. Like it's that easy, I'll take a little risk right now, and at the moment where I just feel I need to go back, I need to get money somewhere else, I'll do it. Like it's easy. I can get a job. I'm not unskillful. Like I can find a job. So, but it never came.
That's awesome.
It never came, and that was like the best decision I made of my life, because it was so hard. It was so hard. And I would say now we're here today. The media is going really, really great. I really love where we're at, and we're not even a year into it. So
you're not even past the threshold. You're still scratching the surface.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So I would say that's kind of like the background. I know I went on tangents, but
no, yeah, it's a crazy journey, man. I think that could resonate with a lot of people, because there's some people that are, man, they don't know, they want to do something, and like you, like they have a job, right? Yeah. And they just don't know what's that next step, you know. So I think that's really powerful, man. So what I do want to ask you, you know, we heard your journey. Great story, man. I think it's crazy, like you took that leap of faith, like. And what I find really interesting about your story is that you really made those connections, those small connections that you came across, like you made the most of them. You get me? Like you met the guys from Mayberry, you met Aaron, you met Carlos, and it kind of like weeded your way into what you have now. You get me? Like you didn't. A lot of people they'll squander what they have in front of them when it's right in front of them. Like, oh, I could. You literally just talk to this person and make that connection. Yeah,
the connections, you know, the relationships. It's important.
Exactly. So I'm really curious. We're on the Purpose Journey podcast. What is your definition of purpose?
My definition of purpose. I think purpose is what you're made to do. I do think it's a blend between two things. It's a mixture between two things. So it's something you're good at, or something you're skillful with, and something that you can do for the betterment of society. So like blending those two things is a good way to find a purpose. It's like you want to do something that you like, obviously. You want to do something that maybe you're good at, maybe you're passionate about, but you also want to find a way to help people around you, because in turn they'll help you. Obviously, making money is cool, but helping to build a better society ultimately helps you. Because usually the more successful people have usually helped society in some way. So I think that would be like my pinnacle of purpose.
So those two things.
Yeah, like that blend of finding those two things and blending it together. That's also how you can find a career that you love. So yeah,
that's interesting. That's crazy. I like that one.
Yeah, what's yours?
So
let me hear yours. I want to hear yours.
Lately, I've been on a journey with my faith, and I do think we all have a calling.
Yeah.
You know, so mine is a little bit more faith-based. Before, it used to be really about happiness. You know, of like, okay, what makes me happy? Do that. You get me? Right now, I would feel like my definition of purpose is what is, if you believe in God, what is God's calling for you? Or if you believe in a higher power, like what is that higher power telling you to do?
Yeah.
And I think purpose really comes from fulfillment. Because you could be doing a job, let's say you work at whatever, like you work at a gas station, it may not really feel that fulfilling, you know?
Yeah.
So you might feel like you're at a dead end. But if you know that, hey, I'm getting to this end point, like this isn't my main goal, and you're constantly pursuing something, you are fulfilling your purpose in that moment in time.
Yeah.
We don't know where we're going to end up. Like I guarantee you didn't know you were going to become a videographer. You get me? But it's those little things on your journey. And I think that's kind of like why I came up with this name of like the purpose journey, right? Like even now I feel like I'm doing what I love. I have my insurance business, starting this podcast, but there's still little things of like, oh man, like there's a lot of uncertainty in this world, right?
Yeah.
But as long as you know, like, hey, I'm on a path and I'm moving the needle in my favor every single day, I feel like in that you will find your purpose. And in that you have purpose and you have fulfillment.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think my definition would definitely go on the faith base also, because I do believe that. I do believe that you're called upon to do something bigger, you know, to do something. I just think that it's that blend. I think that blend. And
I like that. That was my first time hearing that.
Maybe it's a trifecta, you know, and because I do feel that, where it's like God will put these things, you know, and He gives you these skills. He gives you these things that you can be good at, and it's up to you to, you know, to first find God and find that's your piece of your spirit. You have to find that, and then you start realizing that, hey, I'm good at these things. maybe I can make money off it. Maybe I can be good at this. Maybe I can help people in a certain way. But it's a blend of all that. It can't just be like money. It can't just be like, oh, I can make money off of videography, so I'm gonna do it. It's like, well, I like doing this, and like, what can I do? What can I offer for this? It's like I can offer people memories, that they could give to their grandkids. That's priceless. At this point of age, with social media and YouTube and everything, giving someone a piece of memory that they could give that lives on forever is priceless.
Exactly.
That's the way I see it. And I always start with our media packages of any sort. We always start with that. It's like leaving a mark. So that's important, because this is your legacy. And if you have a restaurant and you want to leave a legacy, you want people to remember, like, hey, I loved what I did, and I made the best food, or I made the best of being a lawyer, and I want people to know, I want my family to see that and be proud. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. And it really goes back to what you said of, like, you said it real small, but like helping people. I think that's when you find the most purpose, is when you're actually putting someone before you. You get
I
me?
think it feels really great too, like, man, I helped that person because of me. They might have made another step in whatever they needed to do, even if it's as simple as helping them with the groceries from the car. It's so small, but like it can make a big change.
Exactly. I think a lot of people squander that because they'll be like, oh, like they don't feel fulfilled, or they're like, oh, this is not purpose. Like, I'm working at HEB and I'm bagging groceries.
Yeah.
This isn't what is this? But I feel like they're just not aware of what they're having in front of them. It could be that connection they make while bagging groceries could be their next boss. Like, it could be that person you serve there at this restaurant, just giving them great service and, really, leaving an impact on them, giving them a positive vibe.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. Like, I feel like when you take those things and what you're doing right now, it might not be what you want to do, but if you just take that mindset of, hey, let me serve my brothers and sisters, like, let me serve God's children, let me treat them the way I would want to be treated, man, you have a way better time in anything you're doing, and it might even get you to that next step. I want to kind of pivot a little bit, staying on topic. I think this could help serve a lot of people because you've been through it. What would you say to someone that is working a full-time job? Say they made it to their career, they went to school 4 years, they made their career, they got that job, and they do not like it. And they're just like, damn, this is not what I want. And I want to get into a business. I want to get into entrepreneurship. I have an idea. I have a dream. What would you say to that person? Like, what would be their like next 3 steps of like, oh shoot, okay, I got this new job. I hate it, but I have a dream of becoming whatever it may be, whatever their heart desires. What would you say is their next 3 steps?
I think the first thing before even steps is to get your mind right, because a lot of times the first step is the hardest step for anyone to take that leap of faith. And I think people just need to understand that we have one life here on earth, and don't be afraid to take chances. Don't be afraid to start something new. There's people that have been at jobs for 30 years, they're 40 years old, and then they switch and they become a realtor, and then they make 2 times the money they ever did at that one job being a realtor, and now they're more happy. And it's like, it's okay that happened, because you changed. People change. You go through changes, and sometimes you don't want to do that anymore. You want to do something else. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, I think it's the riskiest thing to do. Because you're really going all in. If you don't make money, you don't eat. You don't put food on the table. You don't get money. You can't survive. It's hard to survive without money, unfortunately. So it's a huge risk. And I think a lot of people just, at the end of the day, people need to realize that it's on them, and they have to have their security in their spirit and mind to understand that they're the ones that got to do it. I can't push them out of the door every day and for them to go get it. Not everyone can do that, and that's okay. People are made to do different things. But if that's the life that you want to live, you have to understand you're the one that has to wake up in the morning. You're the one that lives with your thoughts. Only one person can see you. And it's like, I can't be the one pushing you. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it, like that saying. Yeah. And yeah, it's just on them. I really don't have any, like, cause like it's cause motivation, it runs out, bro.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Motivation runs out all the time, and like that's where you find your character. Is when you lose the motivation. What are you gonna do after that? You know, are you still gonna go to the gym? Are you still gonna eat healthy? Are you still gonna continue on with the entrepreneur path, whatever it is you want to do? And some people just don't, and that's where you see the character of someone. It's like, are you gonna quit in those times where it's hard?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the most important thing, besides any motivation, because you can watch all the motivational videos on YouTube you want, but at the end of the day, it's gonna run out. And at some point, you're gonna have to be at a crossroad.
Yeah,
so
that's really powerful.
Yeah, I don't think there's any 3 steps. I think that would be like the best thing to give. Is like, you just got to do it. You got to go out. You know, if you want it, if you really want it, you got to go out and do it.
I like that.
It's so simple, but you just have to.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. The hardest step is just taking that first step.
Yeah,
sometimes.
the first step is the hardest step. Yeah, for a lot of times.
Nice. So I'm interested. Today's day and age, there's a big talk on AI, right? And I'm sure you hear it all the time, and you see it in social media. You being in that realm of marketing and videography, what do you like? What's your take on AI? Like, do you feel like, oh man, I know a lot of people are scared, like, oh, it's going to take away jobs, or you know, stuff like that. What's your take on AI?
It's going to take away jobs if you do very simple stuff. Yeah, I think AI will auto-generate a lot of things. I mean, eventually we won't even see people working at HB. You know, it'll just be full automation. It'll just be, you know, look at Amazon, what they're doing. You walk in, they have stores in certain areas of cities, and you walk in, you can walk out with your groceries, it scans everything. So at some point, all the easy, which is good because that's what we want. You know, we want to be able to automate jobs that don't fulfill anything. You know, they might not do too much for a person's purpose. You know,
you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. Yeah, I think it definitely is scary because no one wants to lose their job, especially as a media creator. But there's certain things that it helps you with. There's websites that can help you with scripting stuff. So if you have writer's block, you know, you can go onto a website like ChatGPT and just search up a prompt, and you can go from there. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend just completely, you know, ripping off the ChatGPT, because there's a level of humanity that you get from you making something. So I don't think like an AI generated can give you that. So I think it would be good to use them as tools. So I do think AI is good for tools.
You think it's a good tool?
Yeah, for sure, basically. For sure. There's another tool that it's on Photoshop, and so like you could get a photo. So like if you take a photo of like the buildings outside, you can put it into Photoshop and then square out the photo and then auto-generate so the photo's bigger. So it will just auto-generate what it thinks that is in the background of the bigger photo. And you could do that with video too. I just saw that. So you could put the video onto Photoshop, and then let's say you're in this room and you want to make it bigger, or you want to make the sides have a skyscraper. Like, you can do it and it'll blend it like really, really, really good. Crazy. So again, AI is just like a tool. That's the way I see it.
It's a good
tool. And it's a good tool to have. Like people are only gonna move their ways. The best people, you know, the best people in the game will figure out a way to show their skills,
or use that tool,
or use that tool, or you can complain and say, they took our jobs. It's like
South Park.
Like, they took our jobs. Like, I have nothing to do. It's like, well, then you probably offered something that's replaceable. You know, you didn't offer something that's unique to your own style. So it's definitely a tool. Yeah,
that's really interesting. So I know you briefly touched on the subject of when you were talking about your journey of y'all's company, Astra Media. I'm curious, like, what's your vision? Like, I know I'm gonna end up interviewing Carlos. FYI, I'm interviewing you soon. But what would be your vision like for Astra Media?
I think there's 2 big visions that I would like to. I think there's a huge vision, and then I think there's a milestone I would like to achieve. So it's kind of intertwined. I think within 5 years, I would love to have. Not I would love to. We will have the company to 6 figures. I know it. I feel it. You know, I really do feel it. Like the all the planning we've done, and at the end of the day, if you give a good product, the rest is just you planning and articulating and putting yourself in the door and building those relationships. So I would say that to have 6 figures in 5 years, constantly, you know, year per year, and going from there, that would be like the 5-year goal. And then I have a vision that I actually just mentioned with Carlos, and I won't mention the name of what I want to name it. I'll tell you off camera, you know,
okay.
Or on Patreon.
Get on Rumble.
But the gist of it is to have this huge place that you can have different sets for photography, videography, even people to just go and take photos in. So I would like to have like sets like Hollywood. You know how Hollywood they make sets in the Studio 16 or whatever, and they'll have like this huge house. It's like a house, but it's a fake house, right? So having studio sets like that, like maybe one where it's like Chinatown or like Japanese style, and it's like it's outdoor but it's indoor, so like it looks like it's outdoor. So you have all these crazy neon lights, signs. The telephone pole, you'll have like a British one. You could have a coffee shop, and then you have all these different sets. So one thing that I haven't seen is that a lot of times here there's studios and they just have a white backdrop, right? Like most studios you go to is like it's just a white backdrop, one of those, you know, the
like
white ones,
green screen or
something.
something.
Or something like that. Like and you could rent out the place and you get it for an hour and you're good to go. But that's all we really have. There's nothing that really sets it apart. And I feel like having actual sets like that would change the game. So I would feel like having multiple different sets and then change them constantly, so that way it's not old and people are like, oh, I've already used these, I'm not gonna go here, and start changing them out, and then you could change them back whenever people want them. You know, if people really liked one, like the neon signs with all that, then you could always bring it back. And now you start making like different changes of people to come back to you, like, oh, I want to go take pictures, even if it's with your iPhone and you want to rent it out. You know, we'll give a different package for that. Not only that, but I would like to have like a studio. Obviously, I love music. So imagine having a studio with our own engineer that can always be there, ready to go, and just people funneling in. And even like guitar classes and classes to learn engineer or something like that. So like a big, huge media place where you can go for just anything and everything media.
The damn media coliseum, man.
That would be like
that's crazy.
The vision
that sounds
of,
interesting.
That would be the
really
vision to make. Yeah,
that's awesome, bro. Well, shoot, man. Damn. Y'all be ready, man. We get watch out.
Get your cameras ready.
Dude, that sounds really. You actually gave me some ideas. Just listening to you, I was like, dude, there's so much you could do there.
There's grand stuff you could think of.
Especially like in our area here in South Texas, like there's really nothing like that.
Yeah. You have to think of the companies that are successful. You know, you look at like Disneyland, you look at these huge places, and you start putting it in a macro scale to your own niche, and you're like, oh, I kind of have this idea. Oh, this, and you start picking apart all the things that have been successful.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
the scale, like, think big, guys. Think big. I think that's another thing too. Like, you have to think big. Yeah. Because you only go as far as your thought process goes.
Of course.
Like, if you think I'm just gonna get 5 clients, you're maybe just gonna get 3, or you might hit 5, and that's all you're gonna get. If you shoot like, hey, I'm gonna get 30 clients, I'm going for 30.
Even if you reach short, even if you get short and you're like, oh, I got 28,
better than 5.
It's like, hey man, I'm blessed that I even got 1. You know, at that point,
of course,
yeah,
that's crazy. So I guess one of the last questions I have for you, what would you think is like the hardest thing about videography, or like what's your favorite thing about videography, and what's the least favorite thing about videography?
My favorite thing would be directing. Would be the process of making working on the script or working on the set with the client. I think that's my favorite part, because that's where you set up everything. That's where you figure out like, okay, I want these lights in the back. I want the light to hit it this way. What mood are you giving? Obviously, if it's a social media commercial style video, like there's only really a clean version to do it. But once you start getting into the stylistic realm, like music videos and stuff, you start to wonder, like, what emotion are they trying to do? Is it like a sad song? Okay, well, maybe some sad colors. What does sad colors sound like to you? You know, like, it's usually like blue. If you like happy colors, it's usually like orange, bright colors. So I think that's like my favorite part, is setting up the shot. I wouldn't say it's... I would say like my least favorite part would be the editing. The editing definitely takes long, and if I could, I would get to a point where I could outsource an editor, someone that I could trust, and would have the same editing style as me, so that way I could focus more on directing and color grading. That's one thing that I'm huge on, and I'm not even anything compared to some of the colorists I've seen that I follow or like are mentored by, but coloring is definitely the one thing. In the editing process, the color grading is my favorite part. So I would definitely, if I could, I would stick to filming, directing, and color grading, and then skip that editing state. Yeah, if I could just get all the film ready and it just needs to be color graded, I'm set. So I would say that's like the least favorite.
I feel you on that.
Yeah.
So last thing I want, I think people could really resonate with this, and I think it could help serve a lot of people. The thing we'll end on is how important do you think relationships are? In really whatever you do, in entrepreneurship especially, right? But in whatever you do, how important do you think relationships are? The people you hang around with, like whether it's a girlfriend or your friends, your best friends, even your family members, like how important do you think that is? Like,
yeah, relationships are a two-way street, first of all, because you could give all to one relationship and then you realize that they never, gave their part, and there shouldn't be any bad blood between that. It should just be like, okay, well, they don't want to reach back. It's fine. Because there will be other people that resonate with it, and you'll know right away. It's like, damn, this person's always there for me, and you feel like you almost like the what is it called, the reciprocity? Whatever. There's a word, right? There's a word, and it's pretty much means it pretty much means you give someone so much that they feel almost like
reciprocity.
I want to do reciprocity. I almost want to do this because you've just given me so much knowledge or help, and they just want to give back. So relationships are very important. And that's one thing that I learned getting into business with Carlos. Carlos is one of those guys. He's heavy on relationships, and it stems from his dad. His dad is an entrepreneur also, and he focuses on relationships. That's how he makes business. And I've always been on the opposite end. I've been an artist. I'm a hermit. I'm like, I want to be to myself. I never really had the skills to do that. So seeing him, it was like, this is how I knew I was going to be in a good business relationship with him, because he had all the stuff I lacked. But then it got to the point where I'm like, well, I don't want him just to be the only one that could build relationships. I want to do it too, because I see it. So the people you hang around with can help. Back to what we were saying, it can help you so much, or it could drag you down. And for that instance, he helped me hone my relationship skills, and I would just start mirroring him sometimes. Like, oh, he checks up on people. Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? Talk to them. And then usually, like, if I say what's up to someone, that would be it. But now it's like, what's up, bro? How you doing? How's everything? Oh, and just start talking, make conversation. The more you build relationships. When it comes to, I have this quote. Let me see if I have it here. And it's actually a scripture. Oh, wow. It's Proverbs 25:24, and it's a really good one. It's better to live on a corner of a roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Have you heard that one?
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, so
I actually just started reading Proverbs. Like I started from the first book.
So that one is very interesting to me, because if you live in a house with someone that you're not in good standings with, you're not having a good relationship with them, you guys don't connect, you guys don't better each other, it's better to be alone then, because at least then you can work on something that you want without having someone almost burden you. It sounds messed up, but almost as if they're burdening you. They're bringing you down. And it goes the same way for friendships, even businesses. So business relationships are, I want to say, the most important thing, especially when you have the skill. When you have the skills needed to give a product to where people need, relationships mean anything, because you could go up against someone that has the same skill or even a little better skill than you, but if you have a better relationship with that person that you're filming with, I guarantee you they're going to pick you all the time, because they like hanging around with you. Why would they pick someone else if they're so silent, and it's like, oh, they do the job a little better, but this guy, man, I have a good time when he's here. He brings good energy. I trust him. I have a entrusting to them, and they're always going to pick you. I now realize that, because I've been on the opposite end of me just honing my craft and trying to be the best. And it's like, there's also that other side, you do need to build relationships with people. So I think it's very important.
That's awesome, bro.
Very.
I'm glad to see that too. Yeah, I've definitely seen that out of you. So that's really cool, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
But awesome, bro. Hey, well, congratulations, man. I'm excited for everything coming up. Yeah. Thanks for joining the podcast. Thanks for everybody that listened. Matt, where could people find you, on social media, or what could they be on the lookout for? You guys? Yeah,
so I'm on Instagram, Matt in Focus. We also have our business page, Astra, which is Media by Astra on Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel called Matt Knows. There I talk about camera gear, photography, videography.
Really good quality, by the way. His videos are edited like solid.
I just started getting more into it. Again, there's no reason for me not to be posting videos, so I have the next 5 videos laid out already. I just need to record them and get them done. So Matt knows, and I want to say that's it.
Yeah, bro.
I don't think there's anything else we got.
think-
We also have some caps. But
Those are on the way, huh?
we have some caps with the Astramedia logo, very high quality stuff. If you do want a cap, go to the Media by Astra page, and we will have a picture on there. If you like it, you can go ahead and send us a message, and you could get a hat. And they're not expensive either, so we're not gouging the price. We kind of just want to get the name out there and have people rep the brand. So
awesome.
yeah.
Well, Matt, thanks for joining the show, brother. I'm really excited for the Purpose Journey podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
me
excited
too.
for
Me
you.
too.
And I think this episode is going to help serve a lot of people. We hit on a lot of good points. But guys, thank you for joining the video. Subscribe, throw us a follow on the social medias. Definitely give Matt a follow. He has as you can see, a lot of good stuff on the way. Hope you guys have a blessed day. I'll see you next week for our second interview. And we're just going to keep pumping them out from there and helping people out and telling some good stories, man. But Matt, it's been a pleasure, brother.
Yes, sir.
Nice.